Okay, let's say that I don't know the numbers. Let's say that 1 million people are murdered every year. Okay? And
Okay.
every year, no matter what anyone does, 1 million people are going to be murdered every year. Does it matter who's doing it? If that's just the status quo, is every year a million people are going to be murdered. Does it matter if one person does it versus everyone? Does it matter if you do it or if I do it? If it's going to happen no matter what you do. Murder's still bad in this thing. Like,
yeah, it's not a
we don't
society
we don't like it.
Yeah, but
like,
it has to happen.
Is it any better that somebody else does it versus if you do it?
I would say that's a very complex thing as well, because first there's the fact of who would want to do this, right? And the people that want to do this,
it's just
going to
happen.
This
like
on,
a law of nature happens where it's going to happen. Just like people then like take on the responsibility, and they'll be like, okay, well, if it's going to happen, I'll take responsibility.
But then the question is, why aren't people letting that happen naturally? There'd have to be some kind of psychopathic dude who would have to be like, well, if this dude's going to die anyways, I want to kill him. And then you'd be killing them early when they could live a fuller life.
Dude, there's no way getting around that they're going to happen. I'm just saying, is there any difference between doing it and not and having somebody else do it? If it's guaranteed to happen.
Okay, it's so complex because there's so many different things. Like first off, is it just that, okay, so these people are going to die no matter what, right? But one person comes along and says, I'm just going to kill them.
No,
instead.
it's not a list of people. It's just out of all the people in the world, 1 million are going to be murdered every year. And you could choose whoever you want. You could do whatever.
But if nobody murders anybody, right?
Yeah.
Then it's just a natural process, and just some random thing just makes these people disappear, right?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
No. Something happens to cause them to be murdered.
But don't people have to decide and say, who's going to do the murdering? Is it just like somebody has to murder somebody?
It's a magical process. There's not like any bureaucracy, and there's no like, you don't have to talk to other people. It's just the way it works out is this is the number of people that's going to get murdered.
Wait, but I'm still confused about...
So then you can either consciously decide, hey, I'm going to be part of the people that murder people, or I'm not. But the same number of people are going to die regardless.
But what if, like, the people who decided that they wanted to go murder people would still be... You'd still have to say, like, what the hell, man? Like, why do you want to do this? So I think all the, like... It would be psychopathic, People would just.
It was
be
just
like,
going to happen, though. It was just going to happen, though, and you don't have to.
It was just going to happen, but the fact that the person
you don't have to tell people.
No, they wouldn't have to tell people, but still, the people that did this, right?
Mm-hmm.
There would be still a morally corrupt thing that would be going on because of the fact they are openly, or not openly, but just they're going to the side that says we want to kill people. Like, I'm going to enjoy doing this, is what they're saying.
Nope.
Or they're saying...
It's just going to happen.
Or they're saying, it's going to happen, so I'm going to do it because, it's going to happen. I think that is kind of weird. Or they're like, oh, I wonder what it's like to just,
Yeah, bro, but it's going to happen. So that's all. All the question is,
Yeah.
I don't care if it's weird. I don't care if it doesn't make sense. I'm just saying, if this is going to happen, then it doesn't matter who does it.
I think it would matter... to the people who don't want to, who actively are saying, I do not want to murder somebody.
Okay, but why? But why if it's going to happen?
Because the people that decided they were going to go do that actively, you'd wonder what's going on with them. Like, that seems like...
But it's like gravity. It's like people recognize that 1 million people are going to be murdered every year. They know it. It's part of the fabric of the universe.
But the person who is doing the murdering, who is deciding to do the murdering and decided not to... So he's deciding to murder somebody.
Yes.
And that means there was the other option to not murder somebody.
Yeah,
so
and
when
somebody else was going to do it.
Yeah, but when you're doing an analysis of this guy, you're saying, okay, but you could have just chosen not to murder this person.
Okay. And somebody else might have murdered that same person.
And that's but then it's not him. It's not that dude.
Okay,
and that
but why
guy
does it
didn't
matter?
want to do
Why
it.
does it matter what the person wants to do, and why does it matter if the end result is the same?
I think because that person made that decision. They actively said.
So it matters making a decision that has no effect on what's going to happen?
I think it does because it means that person. I don't know if they actively wanted to do it. That might be the case. I don't know if they just thought. That's a strange thought process too, though. That like the person would say, "This person's gonna die, so I'm gonna kill him." I think that's a concerning person.
And maybe they would do it so somebody else doesn't have to do it. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Then it becomes like a
That's
moral
different.
thing otherwise. You know what I'm saying? It's really complicated. All I'm just trying to say is like, if they're going to die, why does it matter? But then it's really hard to say that you would kill somebody. And I don't want to kill anybody. But I'm just saying, if the rules of the world changed and people were going to be killed, why does it matter who did it?
It depends because it changes the fact when somebody has to do it.
Yeah.
So let's like, is there a rule here where it's like, these people need to die, you guys need to kill a million people?
People need to die. It's not a list.
Okay, people need to die. A million. So let's say this force of nature, right?
Yeah,
It says
it's not even like a
million-
government forcing you. It's like literally the way it's going to work out is somebody's going to do it.
Okay, so this force says a million people have to die, right?
Yes.
And us as the human beings right here say, okay, a million people need to die. We come together, right? It would. Okay, that makes it more complicated because I was
And
thinking of it as
it's not murder if people sacrifice themselves.
Now the people. Okay, so if
It's not.
let's imagine everyone comes and sits at the human council, right? I'm imagining this human council coming to order, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Everyone's sitting, maybe or maybe not, but
I think they could vote on people that you're not allowed to kill. I think they can vote on that, but I don't think people can come in and say, "Hey, you can kill me." That's not murder.
like
That's sacrifice.
So let's say the council of governments, right?
Yeah.
They have to form this council because it's the only way. They had to collectively come up with these numbers.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming what they do is they'd say, okay.
Yeah, it's called the United Council of Yearly Murders.
Yeah. And they each elect their representatives to this
Yeah.
council, and they basically say, okay, proportionate to the population that your country has. There'd probably be all this mathematics, and they'd say, you have to get this many people
No.
proportion to your populations. Well, I'm just saying in a likely scenario, if this suddenly happened, right, there'd be some sort of thing where they'd probably come together and they'd say, okay, you have this much population of the world, you have to give that much, you have this much population, you
And I'm
have
not
to give
saying
that much.
murder is legal in any sense.
No, but it has to be done, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm assuming they would have to do this. They would say everyone has to give their proportions. Now, who's going to do it? That's an interesting question because I feel like most people, or maybe not most people, but I would certainly be suspicious if someone was like, yeah, bro, I'll do it. I'd be like,
Yeah. You'd
what's
be
going on?
suspicious.
Yeah, I'd be super suspicious. I'd be sus of that person. I'd be looking at him saying,
Yeah, someone's got to do it.
Yeah.
It's literally like somebody's got to be the president, dude. Somebody's got to do it. It's one of the rules is somebody has to do it.
it would be suspicious, though, the person who just, like, raises his hand and says,
Yeah, but
I'm
doing
doing it.
You got to imagine it's, hundreds of thousands of people that are doing this every year.
Definitely. But I would be less suspicious if it was like somebody was elected to do the task, right? I think that's probably what would happen in countries where there's democracy or maybe even dictatorships. Someone would be appointed. It would have to be, and in dictatorships, who knows? Maybe they'd meet their natural quota just by arresting people who they don't like, right? But in a democracy, what I would assume what would occur is there'd be an elected official or officials. There would have to be like a team probably, depending on how many people that country needs to kill. And it would just be called the murder team.
Yeah, so you're making this really elaborate thing to avoid the original question.
But that would,
and it's really hard to answer.
That's what would happen, though.
Yeah, but that's what you're doing.
Okay, so let's take away the world governments, right?
I'm going maybe
back to
maybe
the
they would
basis.
appoint, but then appointing them takes out the choice of an individual to do it or not do it. And that's what the question is.
Okay, I'm gonna erase all the world governments
Yeah.
just to make this to make it really it's just a group of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have to kill a certain number. They collectively all are one, right? And they have to decide in this moment. Someone's gonna have to do it, or multiple people are gonna have to do it, and they are all in this group, right? Here's different countries, different geographies, just all right, that's gone. We focus on this people, right?
Yeah.
This group of people. Now, I start thinking again though that somebody in the group is going to be the leader, or someone in the group is going to be the guy who says, "All right, guys, we have to kill some people here, and how are we going to do this?" And I don't think, because even if someone was maybe let's say someone was a little bit psychopathic in this group, right? I think that person would be smart enough where they wouldn't want to raise their hand because they'll be suspicious of me. So I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna raise my hand that I'm gonna do it, right? Because I think human brains are oriented to come to some kind of a decision, right? Not as a group necessarily all the time, but they try and they create some sort of a system so it's not anarchy. That's kind of the human rationale usually. So as a group, I feel like they try to develop a system to get this done. And
yeah, I don't care how they do it. I'm just saying, why does it matter if you do it versus somebody else?
Well, in that scenario, I think the person who's elected to do it, it would be well, then he has to do it. So there'd be no
let's say there's no election and for some reason you're not allowed to organize.
You're not allowed to organize a thing. So just these people have to die, and there's
this number of people have to die.
Okay, this number of people has to die, but there can be no communication between people as to who's going to do it.
Yeah.
Well, that's a whole other scenario. Okay, so then what would happen, I think, and I'm going to break this down even further.
There's not going to be an underground. There's not going to be an underground forces. You're literally not allowed to talk about it.
How would somebody know though how many people have been killed? The humans might go overboard.
No. Once they get to 1 million, for some reason, every person knows.
So there's some kind of some kind of thing that comes in the mind.
They literally, it just pops in their head.
Okay. Then in that case,
a little jingle, just plays in their head, like this.
I think.
They're like, oh shit, okay.
Oh, it's done. It's done.
Yeah, and it's February.
I think what would happen is, so we theoretically could put this back on Earth, this scenario where no one's allowed to talk about it, because then the government can't talk about it, the world can't talk about it collectively, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, if it's back on planet Earth, right, I think anarchy would occur. I believe it would be the purge, basically, where all the people who are willing to murder would come out and would say, we're taking what we want, and we need to kill people anyways. The dictators would have a field day. They'd say, well, we got to start, cranking down on people who we don't like.
So then would it make sense for those people that aren't those people to kill the people that are trying to cause anarchy and steal and all this stuff?
You'd have to defend yourself, I guess. I mean,
but self-defense isn't murder.
Oh, so that wouldn't count?
No, if they attack you and you kill them, that's not murder.
What? Oh, so
you would have to
actively
seek them out.
Oh, it has to be murder.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh man, that's even more complex, because then the people who are like, I'm not murdering, right?
Yeah.
They would be vulnerable, because when they kill people, it's not even helping the whole scenario. So the death count would be even higher than
100%.
the original quota that needs to be met. Okay. In that case, I think it would still be anarchy. It would just, some people would not be adding to the kill count, while other people would just be murdering people. And then the people who are, killing these people out of self-defense would be like, damn it. Well, no, but then there's a way around that. Because if they're attacking you, sure. But what if you go and you find these groups? You're like, okay, the thieves murder guild has opened up in
TMG.
The TMG, yeah, they've opened up in City Hall.
Uh-huh.
You get all the people who don't like murder together, and we say, we're going to murder them. So
Yeah.
we're attacking them. And then that you'd have to be strategic about it if you didn't want to actively murder. You'd have to murder the people who are happy about murdering. Basically, I don't know. It would be a real complex.
Yeah, but once you get to 1 million, now you don't have to do it, and the anarchy subsides.
True,
And I'm not saying it's legal either. Absolutely not saying it's legal.
I think it would just naturally become legal. Like the people would be pardoned for murdering because it would pretty much be like, well, you had no choice.
I don't know, dude.
They'd just be like, oh well, that sucks. And the whole thing that you'd have to hope that people who really want to murder, right, who are super excited about this, who are like, oh yeah, murder, and are super pumped about the murder, you just have to hope that more of them get murdered than the people who don't like murder.
Yeah, and that's
as a society. But I don't know that.
I could definitely view the world that you're setting up. I just the initial question is so, like, it's so interesting because as individuals and as most humans, we don't want to hurt other humans, right? But if it had to happen, why would it? Like, we would just want to. My initial instinct is to try to avoid having to do that and have somebody else do it. But then is that actually, is it not taking the moral road of protecting somebody else from having to do that? And, having to live with that and stuff. So it's pretty complicated. I just thought of it. I don't even know how.
What would be another element that would actually take out the anarchy of that scenario is saying that there's no such thing as anybody who's a psychopath or willing to murder.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone doesn't like to murder in this group of people that it's happening to.
Yeah.
And then it would be super complex because immediately when this happens, nobody would want to do anything, and everyone would be like, I don't want to murder anybody.
But then it's getting until November and shit goes down.
Yeah, and then people would get scared and they can't talk about it. But they're just thinking in their head, I don't want to murder somebody.
Yeah.
Who's going to start this? So that would mean it's a bunch of just regular people who don't like to murder. That would be even more complex.
That's really intense.
That would be a real intense scenario. And then no one knows, like, has John next door started? Is he coming out of his house with the axe?
And John's coming right at you, and then you hear this noise. But now he's still your neighbor.
Yeah.
He has to live with you.
Yeah. And imagine you can't... There's no such thing as murder after that point. And you can't move houses. Time just freezes. And you have to stay and live in the same conditions that you're currently living in. Like, everything that you're doing in your life, it stays the same. So he has to live with John forever.
They're eternally bonded.
Knowing.
I mean, that would be a crazy film. It'd be similar to The Purge, but it would also, if there was just a murder quota.
I feel like it could be a comedy.
And the anarchy and.
It could be a comedy in a world where people don't want to murder because you'd have the insight of someone would they'd be thinking in their head about it, and then it would just be like, hey. Oh, hey!
Yeah,
I'm going to the grocery.
Would it be? It would be a first-person movie. I don't know. I don't know how to shoot that. If there was still the rule that you couldn't talk about it, maybe there would be some people that would talk about it.
Like imagine in your head though, it's, oh my god, I have to kill my barber. I can't believe this. Oh, hi, Jim. Hi. Yeah, I'd like the number 2, please. Short on the sides. Yeah, thanks.
Or if there's in the middle of it, there's a global ice age and everyone gets snowed in to their houses and it's in the late December. And so somebody's going to end up having to kill someone in their family.
Oh, God. You have to sacrifice people in the household, you mean?
Yeah, you're literally drowning your baby in a bathtub and then you hear the sound. Thank God I didn't have to kill her.
Grandpa, I'm sorry. You're the oldest of the house. You gotta go first. God.
At least you can
That's
poison.
terrible.
You could poison Grandpa or something.
What if Grandpa doesn't want to go though? What if he's like? What if Grandpa grabs the shotgun and is like?
And he shoots you, but that doesn't fill the quota because it wasn't murder, it's self-defense.
Oh yeah, that's true. That sucks too because imagine someone's coming at you. You can't.
Yeah.
You either accept the fact that you're adding to the quota, or you accept the fact that you're gonna kill somebody. It's not gonna add to the quota.
Yeah.
You're just saving yourself.
Yeah.
Man, that's
But you get an update every 10%.
you get
So
an
you know
update,
if you're close or not.
So if it's hanging around like 95%, some people might say, "I think I'm okay." I'll
They're just gonna
let the
hide
other
out.
people- Yeah, let the other people finish it.
But yeah, I mean, but is that better? It's the real question.
I don't know.
I think it's time to wrap this up. Very interesting.
Very interesting. Yes.
And tell us what you think, because I think murder's bad. But
Yeah.
are you hiding from the fact that you don't want to murder people, or are you or would you do it to help the community out? So I don't know. Making murder immorally right, morally virtuous. I don't know how to say it, but like the morally advantageous thing to do is to kill somebody.
In this scenario.
It's hard to generate that, but there we are.
Yeah.
Yo, so Grandre's about to hit this up with that. She's coming on that E stage, not E television, but E electronic.
And she did now I don't know this for sure, but it looks as if Grandre might have shrunk quite a bit.
Oh, she's small?
She's the quarantining process in Brazil, like we talked about before. Actually, I don't think it actually made it to them because the last episode's getting scrapped. So, anyways, in Brazil, just to shorten this whole information block down, she's getting shrunk in Brazil, or she did, and we don't know how much she got shrunk, but
She's smaller.
she's smaller.